Be Here Now, Ram Dass, The Course of Sadhana. Does anyone remember what sadhana is?
Is it the impartial observer?
No, well, could be.
Your spiritual path?
Yes.
Spiritual wisdom?
Yeah, it's your spiritual practice.
How do you spell that?
Sadhana, Sadhana.
Can I say sadhana?
Say it.
Sadhana.
I should bring the recorder over there too.
Sadhana.
Yeah, come over. Dude, that's an even better idea. So, Mamta pronouncing sadhana, that's the Texas pronunciation. So here's the real pronunciation.
Sadhana.
Sadhana. That's so pretty, isn't it?
Your Sanskrit to English, it's funny because that is not emphasis.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And I've seen different, like the letters have different, what do you call the little things on the top? Yeah, that mean that, they're pronounced differently. I was never that good. What I do is read it like a spell. And I think that's what most of the Texans probably do. But sometimes people are like, especially like my teachers and stuff, they're just like, what are you saying? Paschimottanasana, what is that? You know? Okay, so sadhana is your spiritual path or your spiritual practice, your spiritual work. So it's not just some path that you get on that you don't know about and you just go on this path. It's actually a journey and you're working during this journey. It's like your specific attention, like we come to practice the physical asana. It's like that. It's like your practice, your attention to your spirituality. Trying to kind of fine tune that. Do you know what I mean? Or understand your spiritual side. That's what that's what sadhana is. So anytime you're reading, it says uplifting scriptures and things like that. And anytime you're keeping up with the spirit or trying to live by or enhance, that's what sadhana is. So this is what he says about the whole journey. This chapter is called The Course of Sadhana. Doing sadhana can be as much of a trap as any other melodrama. It is useful to have some perspective about the path in order to keep yourself from getting too caught up in the stage in which you are working on. These pointers may help. Number one, each stage that one can be labeled must pass away. Even the labeling will ultimately pass. A person who says, I'm enlightened, probably isn't. The initial euphoria that comes through the first awakening into even a little consciousness, except in a very few cases, will pass away, leaving a sense of loss or a feeling of falling out of grace or despair. The Dark Night of the Souls by St. John of the Cross deals with that state. Sadhana is a bit like a roller coaster. Each new height is usually followed by a new low. Understanding this makes it a bit easier to ride with both phases. As you further purify yourself, your impurities will seem grosser and larger. Understand that it's not that you are getting more caught in the illusion, it's just that you are seeing it more clearly. The lions guarding the gate of the temple get fiercer as you proceed towards each inner temple. But of course, the light is brighter also. It all becomes more intense because of the additional energy involved at each stage of sadhana. Number 5, at first you will think of your sadhana as a limited part of your life. In time, you will come to realize that everything you do is part of your sadhana. Number 6, one of the traps along the way is the sattvic trap, the trap of purity. You will be doing everything just as you should and get caught in how pure you are. In India, it's called the golden chain. It's not a chain of iron, but it's still a chain. You'll have to finally give up even your idea of purity if you expect to do it all in this lifetime. Early in the journey, you wonder how long the journey will take and whether you will make it in this lifetime. Later, you will see that where you are going is here, and you will arrive now. So stop asking. Number 8, at first you try. Later, you just do sadhana, because what else is there to do? Number 9, at certain stages, you will take your sadhana very seriously. Later, you will see the wisdom of the statement of Jesus that to seek the Lord, men need not disfigure their faces. Cosmic humor, especially about your own predicament, is an important part of your journey. Number 10, at some stages you will experience a plateau, as if everything has stopped. This is a hard point in the journey. Know that once this process has started, it doesn't stop. It only appears to stop from where you are looking. Just keep going. It doesn't really matter whether you think it's happening or not. In fact, the thought it's happening is just another obstacle. Number 11, you may have expected that enlightenment would come zap, instantaneously and permanently. This is unlikely. After the first aha experience, the unfolding is gradual and almost indiscernible. It can be thought of as a thinning of a layer of clouds until only the most transparent veil remains. Number 12, there is, in addition to the up and down cycles and in and out cycles, there are stages at which you feel pulled into inner work and all you seek is a quiet place to meditate and to get on with it. Then there are times when you turn outward to seek to be involved in the marketplace. Both of these parts of the cycle are parts of one sadhana. For what happens to you in the marketplace helps your meditation, and what happens to you in meditation helps you to participate in the marketplace without attachment. Let's see, number 13. What is happening to you is nothing less than death and rebirth. What is dying is the entire way in which you understood who you are and how it all is. What is being reborn is the child of the spirit for whom things are new. This process of attending an ego that is dying at the same time as you are going through a birth process is awesome. Be gentle and honor himself who is dying as well as himself who is being born. Some of the poet quotes, that's the end of that chapter. Some of the poet quotes here are really nice. On the way of true development, something old must die and something new must be born in him. How to get rid of the lower self. The blossom vanishes of itself as the fruit grows. So will your lower self vanish as the divine grows in you. Lakes in the dry season, drop by drop, their depths are diminished. Like as enlightened gradually loses all notions of self. The soul flees just at the very moment when we seem to hold its gleaming splendor in our hands, and all we are left with is one more dead butterfly to add to our moldering collection. All of a sudden, the progress will stop one day, and you will find yourself, as it were, stranded. Preserve. All progress proceeds by such rise and fall. Every individual existence is brought into rhythm by the pendulum to which the heart gives type to the name. There is a time for expanding and a time for contraction. One provokes the other, and the other calls for the return of the first. Never are we nearer the light than when the darkness is deepest. And it goes, let's see how many more. There's a lot more, but I know that I know and that I don't know, but I forget. I see that I am blind, and I see the blinding light in everything, but I forget. I see what I know. I think I know what I see, but sometimes I forget. And this is the way it should be. At the end of every forget, I remember. Lonnie Brown. Do you have any questions? Sadhana's hard. And you do feel like this. You do feel like at some point you feel like, what's the point? At some point you feel like, is this going to be achieved in this lifetime? Sometimes you feel like, is anything even happening? Do you know what I mean? You put a lot of time and attention, and then you realize that it just feels like everything is the same, like you really hadn't gone anywhere or done anything as far as transcending the ego. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it feels like a dead end. And then sometimes you feel great about it, like he says. You feel like, wow, I feel this aha. And then the next moment it's like, oh, well, that wasn't really that. I mean, it was aha, but it didn't last. I'm sure that y'all know what I mean.
Well, I think it helps to know that you're not in control of it, that it just happens. And it can be hard, if you let it be hard, but it can be easy.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you make it run.
As you said that, because if you can see that it will pass, rather than being stuck in that loop. Why me, why now, why it's happening to me? Just think of the past.
I went through something recently. It happened before the 21st, actually. And I perceived it as this terrible thing that happened, but what I realized in retrospect that it was just change, and that's all it was. And I thought it was happy then, happier now, but I'm also expecting another change to happen. And that's the only thing that's constant.
Yeah, for sure. And I said, if you can't count on anything else, just please know you can definitely count on change. It is inevitable. There's always change. Yeah. 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 And you really have to embrace it, and you have to accept it. You know, you have to move with it.
When you feel comfortable, it's hard to accept that change. You look at the past and you're like, oh, well, that was good, but I'm better now. And the future's scary because we don't know what that
exactly.
change is going to be. And we're just sort of left vulnerable.
We're taught to be scared of what we don't know, for sure. And we just need to let go of that completely and just say, if whoever divine wills it, it will be done, and it will be positive as long as I perceive it as positive.
Things will work out.
Closer to the light than when you're in the darkness, right?
That was one of our poet quotes. I don't know if you were in the room, but that's what it said, yeah. And so, I mean, really, and I'm just a firm believer that in us discussing and us talking and us just kind of adding this into our thought patterns and the way we process information and the way we share information, maybe somehow we can come to understand who we are. And I think that's really what one of the purposes is. Who are we really? I know that we're humans, right? But what does that mean? Or are we really? Do you know what I mean? What are we? Who are we? What do we possess? Do we have to fear? And is fear our bondage? Do you know what I mean? But
exactly. I think the only thing we truly possess is love, and all of these blocks of society and
yes,
our past experiences just cloud that, and that's what we need to learn to kind of
yes.
away to reach the only thing that's truly there, which is love.
Yes, and that's how they say that you get to that through meditation, through yoga, etc., etc. And I believe if us discussing will open the way for anyone, even each other. So what we say may help another person and help us as well, help ourselves as well. So we'll just keep on trucking with this in 2013. 2013, and we're still going at it. But, hey, so be it.
And I think it's also important, like with your spiritual path or whatever, that it's different for everybody. And even though, say your mother or father, they've passed and there's nothing that you can say for sure, oh, they did this spiritually before they passed. Well, they still did what they needed to do on their path. They were on their path. What they did was what they needed to do. It doesn't mean that you have to become a Buddha every time, or, we're all learning to get to that point to like from life to life.
Through our own experiences. And I know that you guys have heard that, what you see it's a projection.
Yes, a mirror.
Yes, it's a mirror. And so what if we could change what we see? I know that we can. And what I don't know is exactly how we can do that. But we have to somehow change what we see in front of us, because that is an illusion. That is not the total truth. That is not... That's kind of the cloud or the veil. We have tons of distractions, number one. We're super distracted. If by nothing else been getting up and having to go to work every single day, that's a distraction. It really is. It's a distraction from who we are and what we should be doing. But that's what we've accepted. That's what we think is real. That's what we think is true. And that's what we've accepted. And now we're kind of in a position where what do we do without that?
Well, Wayne Dyer says something really awesome that really put it in perspective for me, because he grew up in an orphanage. Mm-hmm. And he remembers a girl coming to the orphanage, and she was just sobbing and upset and really sad. And he was kind of just like puzzled by it. And he walked up to her and he was like, "Don't you know there's no parents here? You can do whatever you want." Like, just his perception of what was going on is that most people would say, "Oh, you grew up in an orphanage, how terrible."
Right.
That wasn't his perception at all.
Right.
And it's just about how you're going to decide that situation is for you.
Exactly.
What meaning you put on it.
Right.
And everything in our head is just old tapes that we assign meanings to things.
And we keep running those old tapes, patterns. So that's what I'm saying. If we can change the pattern, our thought pattern, it adds to the collective consciousness, and then there we go. And that can't be controlled, in my opinion. I think we've heard a lot about, the government this or this or that, or, there's thousands of things that we feel like hold us back, right? Yeah, there's a lot out there that we could say that holds us back, but that's it's our choice. It's our choice. And I'm really into this whole thing lately about responsibility, personal responsibility. It is your responsibility to seek knowledge. It's your responsibility to seek truth. It really is. And I think we do that, and we're on our way.
You're only savior is yourself.
Yes.
People look everywhere to the right person to talk to or to finally feel some peace, but
Mm-hmm.
you can only do it if you seek yourself.
Yeah. Even through religion. Even through religion. It's all in here, though. It's all here. So we were watching, and then we'll start. We watched Ram Dass Be Here Now. Fierce Grace recently. And when Ram Dass went to India and met his guru, he said, he was taking the LSD, the hallucinogenics, and he said, you do try this. I just want you to try it. And as the guru said, okay.
He wanted to try it.
He wanted to? Oh, maybe he asked him, let me try it. Let me see what this is and what it's all about. And wow, you guys are so wound up into it. And so he took the maximum amount. I think Ram Dass said he may have had 9 tablets, and he took them all. And absolutely nothing happened. And he said, how? He said, this should have just took him out. And he said, this is nothing. This is already inside of you. So I don't need that to bring me to that state. It's already there. And that's later what Ram Dass actually figured out. He has a whole chapter on psychedelics, and he later figured out that wasn't actually the way, and it wasn't permanent either. It's just as fleeting as anything else. You know what I mean? It didn't last.
It wasn't coming from inside of you.
No.
And I think that knowing that you have all the answers you need inside yourself is faith. You mentioned religion. I think that's what faith is, just faith in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as faith in God.
Yeah.
Because you have everything you need in you.
You have everything you need.
Never doubt.
Yeah. And this,
That doesn't mean we don't want to be surrounded by like-minded people and people who support us and people who do similar things and think similar ways. And I think it's really difficult and a huge distraction when we aren't surrounded by people who bring us to higher places.
Open the hardware store, so people that are like-minded.
mm-hmm.
Actually, I was going to say it doesn't matter if the government is Republican or Democratic, or it doesn't matter who is the president, who is the mayor, or the weather, and all those things. You look for happiness or contentment, so many different things, and paycheck,
Mhm.
the house that you in the car, where it's not there, it's really fun.
We just have to awaken to that and really believe that and really feel that. Because we can say that, but if we were to go out and our car was gone, we'd be very upset, right?
It is what it is.
But the love would have, it would have gone away, and you'd be right back in that state of, I'm really upset, I need my car because I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to eat, and this is, you know what I mean? It's really, I think once we start to believe that it's all within us, and that actually we're all one, and that we are the same, there's no difference in any of us. We're made of the same exact stuff.
And I think there's a difference between joy and happiness. I feel like joy is kind of an excitement, and we all expect, I want to be excited and happy all the time. But just like Caesar Milan and his dogs, when they're excited, they're not happy, they're anxious. We want that high feeling, but I think happiness is more like a stillness of heart. Yes, contentment with no matter what. If your car, you walked out, your car was gone, that stillness.
Yeah. Peace and contentment too, and it's stillness, and I have felt that before. It doesn't come all the time, like in traffic or anything like that, but you can feel that in certain situations, and that's what it is.
Your path. You're stuck in traffic. Well, this is my path to be stuck in traffic right now, and you just surrender to the moment, say, I chose this moment, what it is.
For whatever reason, whatever I wanted to learn out of that experience of being stuck in traffic over and over and over, I'm not learning my lesson, whatever it is. But I feel like we keep putting ourselves in a position to learn, to grow, to understand. But we put ourselves there.
Right. So we can't change anything or anybody around us, only change us and how you want to react.
Exactly, right. What your reaction will be. Yeah. Oh, that was fun. I hope it recorded. Let's start all over. Just kidding.